Alright, in this video, we're going to talk about washers. So, a washer looks like this. It's usually like a donut. I mean, if you're hungry, it's like a donut, but it's just pretty much like a piece of metal, flat, circular, with a hole in the middle. And the general purpose one looks like this. There's other variations. You can see there's like oversized washers. There's like washers with these certain features in here. It says when you've applied the correct tension, these washers release an orange dye as a visual indicator. So there's like these fancy ones. There's like washers for blind rivets, also known as backup washers. So it says these are for use with blind rivets for extra support when fastening to soft materials. And you have like plastic washers if there's certain like chemical resistant properties that you need to achieve, maybe for like food industry or something. You have countersunk washers. Um, if it's like a certain fitting that you want, so flat and oval head screws sit flush within these washers for a neat finish appearance. So this is more for like cosmetics. And you have like square washers if you wanted to like go inside a channel and not rotate. You have easy to install washers, so these are nice if you want to like slip in after the fact, so you don't have to take it out. These here are like angled edge washers. So there's like flaps on here that will kind of collapse and um, it'll keep more tension because of the flex. And you have like flange washers. So these washers have a flange to spread the force across the beams. So there's just a bunch of different types. You can see there's like this really fancy ones. There's like split lock washers. So these will add tension because of how it flexes. And then there's like special tooth lock ones that give more tightening and grip when you screw onto it. Um, and there's a bunch of sealing ones if you have some sealing requirements. So there's a lot of washers you could use. Depending on the application, you have a different use case for it. But let's go ahead and download this to see how it looks. So we're gonna throw it into our previous assembly that we were using. So we were using a number 6 here. So I'm just gonna download this part. And I'm gonna put it inside my, let's see. We were talking about nuts previously, so I'm gonna put it in my nuts folder. So this is how the nut looks like, right? So if we open up our previous assembly, uh, where is it? Let me just open it from here. So my screw and nut assembly. So here we go. And you can see screw and nut, right? If you look at it, you might be wondering, like, where do you put the nut? Or where do you put the washer? Is it on the top or the bottom? Right? So you could look at a few pictures to get some ideas. Screw and nut washer assembly. Okay, you might see it like this. Usually it's on like the nut end, right? That's one way you could look at it. And it's mostly the main part is where you have the nuts, you actually want the force to distribute. Sometimes you may have a washer on the other end if for some reason there's like too much force you want to distribute. There's like force you want to distribute, you might put it on that end as well. But I would say the most common configuration is you'll see it on the nut end, as you can see here. So it's really case by case. You could do some stress calculations to get to the nitty gritty details of how it should be. But here you could see there's obviously different ways you could do it. So when it all comes down, you should probably do some calculations and stress analysis, which we won't do here for now. But for here, let's just go ahead and look at the case where you have the washer on this end. Okay, so we're gonna insert our washer component here. Gonna drag it inside, and we're gonna edit our mates here. So here we had it coincident. I'm gonna go ahead and suppress this, and you could drag that. And if I mate this and make it concentric, then I could mate these faces, and then mate this nut face to this face, and voila, I have my assembly here. So notice that this washer is pretty small. So for a washer like this, you might not need it on this end. But since I already put it in here, let's just for the sake of completion, let's take a look at it. You can see. So yeah, you can see it's not really distributing the force because it's smaller. So you might want to choose a bigger washer in this case. But you can at least see how it fits, right? There's usually um, a lot of space in between, so it could like slide around between the center of the screw. So you're not gonna get it like perfectly centered. But the main thing is you might want to choose a different washer based on what you're trying to shoot for. And you can see that when you choose washers, you could see the different properties. And sometimes you might just be using a washer not because you're trying to distribute force. You could be using the lock one to make sure the nut doesn't loosen, right? So that might be another reason. So in that case, you won't have to worry about having the washer being bigger because you don't have to worry about it distributing the forces more. Okay. So hopefully that helped. And if you found this video helpful, give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.